Hi guys, my name is Denise. Welcome to my channel. I am a manifestation coach, and if you would like to book one-on-one coaching with me, there's a link in the description below. If you want to learn more about manifestation and law of assumption, please check out my other videos and subscribe to my channel. So today I'm going to talk about staying in the state, remaining in the wish fulfilled. And I'm going to start by as always, reiterating that your 3D reality is nothing more than your state of consciousness manifested. So, thinking about that, one of the very important things to remain in a state of consciousness. Now, first, I want to point out that once you are able to naturally return to and dominantly remain in a state of consciousness, you will be in the feedback loop of that state of consciousness, which means you'll be manifesting evidence to support your assumptions, and then you can look at that evidence and further support the assumptions and manifest more of it, and then look at it and further support, and you can maintain in that loop. But the path to getting there often feels like a lot of back and forth, a lot of hot and cold, a lot of ups and downs, hope and despair, and I've been through all of it, so I totally understand, but I'm here to tell you, you will get through it and it's okay. You don't need to stay in a state right now. You just don't need to. If you're struggling to, that's okay. Can you stay in a state? Yes, you can, and you will. You will get there, but it's about practicing, and it's about understanding that if your 3D reality is your state of consciousness being outpictured, then your job is to do the best you can at not putting any other meaning into your 3D reality, at not making it powerful or definitive or truth or the end all, be all, do all. It can't be word. It can't be it. It can't be the thing, right? You have to learn to go within in imagination to bring yourself into your desired state of consciousness. And every 3D experience that you manifest, whether it's desirable or not desirable, all of them are just reflections of states of consciousness that you have previously held. And I don't mean held, I mean generated within yourself. You get there internally in imagination, and then you trust and know that it's going to be reflected back to you, because it will, right? Like that's the job. That's the trick. And so staying in a state, if you're not in a state of consciousness where that's your natural state, is going to take practice. And I don't want you to feel discouraged when you snap out, because that's all part of it, because it's in the snapping out or the I don't know, slowly getting out, whatever. Some of us have it drastically, some of us do it slowly, sometimes it's back and forth, it doesn't matter. But when you shift states of consciousness and then you get frustrated at yourself for being in that state, or you get down on yourself, or you're judging yourself, or shoulding yourself, guilting, shaming, any of those things, you're now in that state of consciousness, right? Thinking of it this way, although it's hard to put words to, every available state of consciousness can be described or connected to an adjective, a feeling, whatever. Goodness. Shame, guilt, embarrassment, anger, frustration, joy, bliss, harmony, love, all of that, all of those words that we use to describe either what we're experiencing or what we want to be experiencing, all of those words represent or exemplify a state of consciousness. So when you are noticing, oh shit, I slipped out and now I'm spiraling and I'm not going to get this right, and why does this keep happening to me, and oh no, you're now in the state of consciousness of, first of all, victim, and second of all, just, failing, like not doing what, like bad, not living up to it, not doing it right, not being good enough. Like that's a state of consciousness. So it's in those moments when you start to recognize that, that's when you want to start being extra loving to yourself. No, you know what? I'm doing a damn fine job. I'm doing really good given the circumstances. I'm actually getting really good at this. This is becoming really easy for me. That's a choice. That's a place I can visit, and it can be okay to visit there. It doesn't mean I'm not getting it. It doesn't mean I'm not shifting. It doesn't mean that this other amazing, beautiful, blissful state of consciousness isn't just as available to me, because it always is. All states are always available to you. And when you waver or slip in and out of them, just know that that's part of the process of one becoming more unnatural and the other becoming more natural. So it's absolutely perfect, because there has to be that space. There actually doesn't. You can quantum shift into this new state of consciousness, but you have to assume and believe it, and it has to just be the decision you make, and you have to hold it and stay there. So that's possible too. That's absolutely available. Most people, however, have a gradual transition where we are very programmed to think from a certain state of consciousness, and we've practiced this feedback loop from this state for months, years, or even decades. And now we're practicing to rewire and start thinking from this other state of consciousness that's actually totally new to us. We don't even know how we're supposed to think in it or what we're supposed to think, because we've never fucking experienced it. It doesn't even make any sense. We can't feel anything from thinking about it, right? And so as you're doing that, of course, you're going to be going back and forth, and that's totally normal. You're going to get there. Love yourself through all of this. That's the biggest piece of advice that I can give you. Love yourself. Think lovingly of yourself. Catch yourself. Start to nurture yourself. Treat yourself like a small child that you care for. Treat yourself like this little precious stone or gem or pearl that you just want to hold and nurture, and like, yeah, you got this, you're doing it. You are doing great. And just trust that you will get there. But it does take the awareness of what state you're residing in. What do I most naturally return to? What state am I residing in? What are my dominant thoughts, assumptions, and beliefs? And then where's my definition of aim? Where do I want to be? What state do I want to be experiencing? What thoughts and assumptions and beliefs do I want to hold on to or maintain in my reality, in my imagination? What do I want to experience more of? And it's really just about that, like practicing that. And you might have to practice that several times a day. I definitely did. I had to bring myself back in the state. I mean, well, let's be honest. There were times when I just didn't, and I would just stay there for hours, even days, even weeks. I mean, if we go back, like, whatever. But when you start consciously shifting your concept of yourself, shifting this consciousness, you will notice that you will start, like, your time and space between becomes farther and farther apart, if that makes any sense. I think I'm saying that wrong. But you're most dominantly in an undesired state, and you're practicing to get into a new state, and you're fluctuating back and forth. And the time you spend in the new state at first is short, and it might be like these like extreme highs, and then you might have a low, and you might stay there for what seems like a long time. That's going to shift. It's going to slowly start to shift roles, where basically now this desired state is starting to get longer and longer. You're staying there longer. It's feeling more natural. But all of that takes place in your ability to bring yourself back into it. And you don't even have to, like, yes, your desire, your goal is to bring yourself back into it. But even if you start practicing the nurturing, loving, gentle thoughts of bringing yourself back into it, like, that's good. That's effort. That's controlling consciousness. That's moving attention, moving awareness, changing the story, telling a new story, right? You can't hold both stories at once. You can't be in two states at once. So as you gently practice, what would this state feel like? What would it feel like to be chosen? What would it feel like to be loved unconditionally? What would it feel like to be in an extremely healthy, beautiful, radiant body? What would it feel like to be wildly abundant and have all the wealth I can imagine? As you practice those thoughts, it's going to become more natural for you. You will start to want to practice those thoughts more. You'll start to want to get into that state more, but not if you keep shaming, beating yourself up, or getting down on yourself anytime you slip out. That's the trick. That's the key, is that when you find yourself in an undesired state, love yourself more, love yourself harder, be fucking nicer to yourself. Don't get down on yourself. Don't tell yourself you're ruining anything. You're God, you can't ruin shit. You're all good. You've got this, right? So that's my video. First of all, don't even really make staying in the state your goal. Make nurturing yourself back into that state your goal. Make redirecting your awareness your goal. Moving your consciousness, shifting your consciousness, make that your goal. And as you keep persisting in that, you will stay in the state. And then it's just cake from there. It just gets easier and easier and easier. Then you, like I said, you get stuck in that positive feedback loop. So, all right, there's my video. I love y'all, and I will see you next video.